Pronounced Farah Jamani?
So it's Farah Jamani. Yep.
Farah Jamani. Okay, I was trying to get it right the first time. So if I do it twice, I'm screwed. So welcome everybody. This is Dr. Burke Mays. This is my ongoing series I do on our Thursday nights. This is just I is part of office. You always hear me talking about. I like to really develop and build the 5 freedoms with my patients and people around me. That's our financial freedom, our time freedom, our geographic freedom, our emotional freedom, and our I'm missing one. Did I say money freedom?
You said financial. Mhm.
Financial, money, emotions, health,
Health.
geography. Yep,
You'd
there we
miss
go.
health.
The
There you
health.
go.
And that's why
That's
we're
the
here
name of the
tonight.
game, isn't it?
That's why we're here. So this is the ongoing series. I just bring in different friends and colleagues of mine that are in different areas of sphere. We have a nice conversation and get to know each other and get to also potentially maybe you make an impact on people who are listening to us. So Farah, welcome.
Thank you.
Farah, did I say it right?
Farah.
Farah. Okay.
There you go.
All right.
I
Working
know.
it.
And you think I would have thought this through with a difficult name. I did not give my daughter an easy name either. So at
Oh,
least I learned by the time I got to my son, I'm like, all right, you're getting the easiest name on the planet. No one can mess this one up.
so what's your daughter's name?
Her name is Leela. So
Leela?
she
Okay.
gets Layla, Lola, Lila. She gets all of the above. My son is
Yeah.
Oliver. You
Oliver.
cannot mess up Oliver.
You really tough on that. My
Yep.
daughter's name is Mila, Mila. So I hear
Yep.
Mila, Mila, Mila. Usually about those three. So
Yep.
yeah. So why don't you tell me a little bit about you? Well, first off, where are you in the world?
So I'm outside of Toronto, about 40 kilometers west of Toronto, based out of Oakville, Ontario, in Canada.
Okay, cool, cool. And what is it? I know we talked a little bit. We're in the same business mentorship group, so we kind of know a little bit about what each other's does. But
Yeah.
tell me what you do. What's your focus in life, and how you got to be where you are.
So I started my career as a pharmacist in community pharmacy. I've now transitioned to being a functional medicine coach and mindset coach. And part of that journey was really my own health. So growing up in a small town in Ontario, I went to the only pharmacy school in Ontario at the time, worked my way up through community pharmacy, worked my way up through the corporate ladder. So I ended up with senior level executives dealing with a number of pharmacies. So you can imagine that level of stress started to play with my
Mhm.
body, but I didn't
Yeah.
realize I was stressed,
Yep.
right? I never felt anything emotionally with my stress. But what it did take a toll was on my gut. And I got to a point where I just couldn't eat anything. I didn't know what was going to bug my stomach, what was not. But you kept pushing through because that's what we do, right?
Right. Yeah.
Then, of course, had 2 kids, exhausted, trying to raise them, build a career, all of that. Then I realized I had hypothyroidism. So not only do we have some gut issue, now we have hypothyroidism, which is an autoimmune condition, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then my eczema started flaring up. As a kid, I had eczema, I had asthma, I had the whole triad, but it had always gone away. But now, as the stress started mounting, I realized I still don't feel stressed.
Right. Yeah.
My eczema started flaring up. So I started to think, right, at this point, I was still in community pharmacy. I had my pharmacist hat on. My favorite question was why? Why are these things happening? What is going on in your body that is not allowing it to work in an optimal way? So I started digging through, became trained in health coaching, got more training in functional medicine. But it wasn't the turning point for me really came when over the span of 2.5 years, I lost both of my parents and was really in a place where the stress and the house of cards started collapsing. I couldn't get up in the morning.
Mm.
I couldn't sleep at night. My gut was even more of a disaster. And that turning point for me really came when I was lying on the couch. My husband was at work and I had to put the 2 kids to bed and I was too tired. And my daughter, who's probably about 5 at the time, said to her 2-year-old brother, "Mommy's too tired for us. I'll put you to bed. It's okay." And
Wow.
that to me was the on the bathroom floor in the middle of the night kind of moment where you're like, I need to do something to get control of my health, if not for me, but for my 2 kids.
Yeah. Tim Ferriss talks about there's a Japanese term for I forgot what it is, but basically it's the holy crap moment, and
Yeah.
not the crap, a different word
Yeah.
where
A
you
word that's more
yes
suitable for
yes
Facebook. Yes.
where something has to shift, and
Yep.
there was yours. Wow.
And that was it. And I knew things were getting bad, but you can kind of hold it together. But there comes a point, that holy crap moment, where you either figure it out or you figure it out. So I started diving into the research. I started diving into all things burnout. What is causing it? What on a cellular level is doing it? Because, I led a pretty healthy life. At that point, I was trying to heal my body, gluten-free, dairy-free, all the frees, but something had to shift. And for me, it ended up being my mindset. And it was ending up really tapping into understanding those trauma responses, understanding what are the elements that your body needs to heal. And with burnout, it's not just the stress and it's not just the sleep. It's what is causing your body to be on fire on the insides. Things like food sensitivities, toxins, gut health is a huge thing. So looking back in retrospect, you can see the way, especially from a functional medicine perspective, you start to connect the dots of what's going on to get you here. And then you can start unraveling it to get you better. And that's what I've done. I had to heal myself, and I want to be able to heal other women before they get to that kind of critical moment where their kids are having to put each other to bed. Like, that is not okay. Nobody wants to feel that way.
Yeah. What, just a couple things out of that. I mean, I've obviously in my office, I practice a functional wellness approach. We all kind of, I think what makes it unique is we all have our own definition of our idea of what it looks like, and also how it's applied. I mean, I've seen, sometimes there's just green medicine where they're doing very medical thinking, but just using a vitamin going, well, this is functional medicine. It's like, well, no, it's not. You're just substituting. What's functional medicine mean for you?
For me, it is allowing your body the conditions in order for it to heal. And I practice it in a way that lines up the pillars of your health from a lifestyle perspective. So I look at nutrition first and foremost. Are you getting in the right quality of nutrients? And can you actually absorb it from your gut perspective? I dial in your sleep. I dial in your stress. But the biggest thing that overarches all of this is I really dial in your mindset. Why are you engaging in the behaviors you're doing? Why are you not able to make those shifts? Because at the end of the day, between all of the resources people have in this world, whether it's Dr. Google, practitioners like you and me, there's no shortage of answers of what to do. There is a shortage and a deficiency of execution in doing what you need to do. And that's my jam of getting people to act on those things that we tell them to do. But there is a barrier, there's a blind spot, there's a limited belief that's preventing them from doing it.
Yeah. I think that's there. I hear an element in there of, at the end of the day too, every patient's different. Some people, they're like, well, what's the protocol to fix me? It's like, well, there isn't one.
Right.
Because your experience is different than the person, your neighbor. What worked for your friend on Facebook for her, whatever it was, could be the exact wrong thing for you, even though your symptoms look the same.
And that's why I love functional medicine, because it dials into your unique presentation of what's going on, and therefore your unique answer that's going to work for you. It's not a one size fits all. It's not a come in for 5 minutes. We're going to give you the medicine that will match up those symptoms. We don't just name it and then tame it. We really start to get to understand the patient. What's driving this? What brought them to this stage? And all of those entry points are so different, but that the cluster of symptoms may look the same.
Yeah. And there's something where, you talked earlier about how for you, the moment had to hit when you kind of really hit your rock bottom, when your 5-year-old's putting your 2-year-old to bed saying, Mom's too tired for us.
Yeah.
From what I hear, your purpose is to get to people before they get that far.
Yeah.
How do you reach out to people? What's your message? How do you communicate?
I want women to reclaim themselves. I think too often women put themselves at the bottom of that totem pole. There's no priority for themselves. And there's always that notion of, I'll get to it someday. Yep. And someday never comes until you get to that rock bottom moment. So that's where I want to really start to intervene and put women at the top of that priority pool. And some of those entry points, you start to really shed lights on, I understand you're not feeling stressed. Your body's feeling stressed, or what is going on in your results in your life that are making you feel that you're not where you necessarily want to be, right? If we look at your results, they don't lie. When you look at your priorities in your calendar, it doesn't lie.
Mm-hmm.
And what is up, what comes before that is really that prioritization, that thought, and that feeling that's driving those results. So if we can work backwards, if women are saying, I'm not productive, I don't have great relationships, my health is failing, or they're starting to hit same age as me, right? Perimenopause years where things aren't working the same in your 40s as they did in your 20s.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the entry points that women will tend to come and find me, that they're trying to gain that midlife, midsection weight. Their moods are all over the map. Their energy's in the tank. Their digestion is awful. And then they want a solution. They want hope. They want something to reclaim themselves, to feel better.
Yeah. And, obviously it took them a long time. It took you a long time to get to where you were. It's what's that? The frog in the water analogy. The water was slowly going up and you weren't aware of it. Obviously it doesn't take that much time to get it back.
Nope.
But but we're in such a instant gratification. The other day I was upset because my Amazon order took an extra day. I was like, how dare they? Oh, wait a minute. Like how do you work at setting the expectation with people that it's not going to be that quick result? Because they go see their medical doctor, here's that pill. That pill is supposed to make things go away.
And that's a hard thing, right? It is, I'm going to say you're in for the long game. However, there are quick wins you can have right off the bat to start to feel better, to start to get more energetic. Sometimes we do use some supplements as a bridge, and I don't see that as green pharmacy. I see that as a bridge to get yourself to a point where you're functional, where you can do these lifestyle factors, where you can make those changes because you have that foundation of some energy going in without everything being depleted out. There is that managing expectations. You have a headache, you take a Tylenol, things go away. You could. And then, what are the sequelae and the fallout from doing that? I think women that will access either your services, my services in a functional medicine capacity have tried all the conventional stuff. And either they don't want the side effects, they realize how detrimental some of these medications can be for the rest of their life, they want a more natural approach, or they realize that they just need to overhaul, right? They need to clean the decks and let's get started again. And the things that used to work in their 20s aren't working now. The calorie counting, the heavy cardio, the restrictiveness of life, they don't want that anymore. We're better than that.
Yeah. Yeah. We're, people are asking for balance. Like, what does balance look like?
Yeah.
And for you, to kind of go back to your beginning, this is a big shift from somebody who comes from a pharmacy world. Where there's a pill for every ill, and what was your, where did you learn, where did you go to learn what you do? I know where I went, but how did you learn what you do?
For me, I think it was starting with some of those niggling symptoms that conventional medicine couldn't fix, right? Those digestive symptoms, well, here's an acid blocker. I'm like, well, that's not fixing it. And now I really can't eat anything. And it's like, it came to me that there had to be a better way. I didn't grow up with, homeopathy and essential oils and all that. I didn't grow up that way. But my Indian heritage did lend some of those Ayurvedic traditions, right? I grew up having the turmeric in milk, which was disgusting at the time. And now people are paying $7 for a golden milk latte. Right? I was ahead of the curve. But some of those traditional medicines and that ideation came in to realize, what, there are other ways and there has to be a better way. So I started diving really into understanding health coaching, what that was, making that shift. But within that, it opened my eyes to what functional medicine was. Now, this is going back a decade. right?
Hmm.
Functional medicine has really evolved over the past at least decade, if not
Yeah.
longer.
Yeah.
But I really started diving into that. And once I realized that our bodies are a web, they're not silos. You pull on one string, something else happens. Like, to me, that's fascinating, because it goes back to why. Why
Yeah.
is this happening?
Yeah.
Right? Don't just stop it by giving me an acid blocker. Why do I have this problem? Because if I know why, I can fix it.
Hmm.
So I think that really goes back to, I'm a fixer. That is the hat that I put on. You go to pharmacy, you fix things, or you go to functional medicine, you're there to create an environment for fixing.
Hmm.
But that was my thing, is I just knew there had to be a better way. So I started my health coaching journey. That wasn't sufficient because it didn't have enough mindset work. I trained with Tony Robbins, best in the field. So now we've got the mindset piece. The final piece in that is truly that functional medicine piece of, how do all the bits in your body start to connect? And to
Yeah.
me, that's so fascinating.
Yeah. That gets, I tell this to all my patients, like, whatever you're complaining about, that's not your problem.
Right.
That's where your problems ended up.
Yeah.
Because as you start asking questions like, well, what if my head hurts? Why are you asking about how often I poop?
Yeah. You're like, oh, we talk about poop a lot.
Yes, yes, it's fascinating stuff. Yeah, I had so one of my teachers through schools actually was Dr. Jeffrey Bland, who's considered the
Yeah,
father of
father of
one of the
functional medicine. Yep.
fathers of functional medicine. The Shoot, what was I going to say with that one? I forget. It'll come back. Um, oh yes, Ayurveda. I find the Ayurvedic philosophy is really interesting.
And when you start to understand, because and so for those of your viewers who may not be as familiar, it's based on segmenting population into three main categories. And within each category, you have sort of a dominant trait, subdominant traits, and how each of those personality types can go out of balance. So if
Hmm.
you think of them more like earth, fire, and air, that in a season like now that you and I are in the winter, it's very windy, it's very cold. So people who have that air disposition tend to go to balance really easily.
Yep.
Whereas, say, a more earth disposition won't be so out of balance. And how do you bring things back into balance? And that's really what you and I do, right? Is get the body back into balance from being so out of balance.
Yeah. And the ways are endless.
Sorry?
And the methods of doing that are endless.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think it really just goes back to common sense.
Yeah.
Right. And I feel society really makes that challenging when good, nutritious food is super healthy. It's inaccessible.
Hmm.
It's not easy to find.
Yeah.
So we're really trying to work against the system in order to create health.
We're really trying to create health in an environment that's not supportive of health.
Exactly. Yeah.
You look at media, emotions, our life, our environment, our food supply, and then you can go deep down a tinfoil hat rabbit hole of lots of different things, all just stacked up to keep us not healthy.
Yeah, exactly. Uh-huh.
I would say we're all preaching to their own little choir here because we were in agreement on that one. Now, do you work with clients face to face or virtual? Because then I was talking with a colleague of ours, Natalie, about how this past 2 years has been so fascinating. This ability to make an impact on people, but not be face to face,
Yeah.
which is amazing.
Yeah. No, you know what? As awful and as dramatic as the pandemic has been, it's really collapsed down timelines and accelerated things and accelerated the virtual community of seeing patients that probably would have taken a long time.
Yeah.
So to your point, no, I see people virtually, I see people across the world, which is so incredible that they're gaining that necessarily help that they need from anywhere in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it is, that's the hidden positive. We're learning how to think very differently, that if you have one of these things,
Yeah.
you have a business wherever you are.
And to your point earlier at the top of the conversation, right? It allows you, not only the practitioner, but the patients, to have those 5 freedoms.
Yep.
You can have geographic freedom. We traveled a lot this year because now we can. And I was still able to service clients. I was still able to make an impact. Financial freedom, health freedom, which is your biggest freedom there is.
Mm-hmm.
All those 5 freedoms have now come about by having this virtual practice, which is incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. So what for you is like two questions I'll ask. First one is, what's your ideal person to work with?
Ideal person to work with is someone who wants to make a change. I think at
Mm.
the end of the day, clients have to be ready.
Yeah.
Secondly, it's going to be that woman who may have tried everything or who is starting her health journey and she's like, I don't even know what to do. But
Mm.
invariably, I work with women who have tried a lot of things, who may have dabbled in sort of the alternative side of healthcare, who now want to put all those puzzle pieces together and start to really take their health and their life to that next level. Because though I coach with functional medicine, my mindset work really allows them that empowerment and that confidence to step into the greatness that they are. And then they ask, what next? So often women will come to me, we'll go through, and I have a group program that I coach them through 10 weeks of transformation. They regain energy, their mental clarity, their body confidence. When they come through all that, they've really stepped into themselves. And now their question is, well, I've done all that. Now what's next?
Now what? Yeah.
Yeah, because now
Ah.
they have all those resources to draw upon. Before they were stuck and tired and sad and all the rest. Now they're a whole new person. And so they've opened up this door of possibility. And what I love most with that is that not only affects them, but it affects their family. It affects their relationships. It affects their
Yeah.
work, right?
Yeah.
So they level up so that everybody else can too.
Which brings up actually an interesting point is how do you work with or interact with the family, the supportive structure, where sometimes the family is like, well, why are you doing this for yourself?
Yeah.
How do you work with that? Because that's a touchy one to work with.
And that's hard. And when I start working with them, we do start to go into some of those hidden beliefs, the things that are keeping them stuck, the people that are keeping them stuck. I think it's important to uncover those objections out of the gate so
Mm.
you know how to be able to work with it. Certainly in the diet and the nutrition side of things, we make things as accessible as possible for husbands who may not like this. They want their meat and potatoes, or picky kids. How do we create this? Because at the end of the day, most women who come to me are moms. They're running the show,
Mm.
especially in terms of what they feed their families. How do we make this accessible for everyone in their family? Because listen, they're already tired and burnt out. They are not making 3 meals.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we really start to overcome some of that. And through the coaching process, we understand that at the end of the day, they need to prioritize themselves. And it's not something you can just say, well, just go and prioritize yourself. It's not that easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is holding them back? Why haven't they been able to? What are those thoughts and feelings that are keeping them stuck? And by starting to unravel that, we start to be able to then take steps forward to start to prioritize themselves in ways that start to empower them to make those changes within their house.
Mm. Wow. There's a lot to take on.
It is a lot to take on, but what's the alternative?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Their alternative is they live a mediocre life and they're stuck and they get diseased.
Yeah.
How is that helping their family?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So
Or
yes.
mom's asleep on the couch and can't be part of the
No one's
family.
putting the kids to bed.
Yeah, exactly.
As my husband says, but what's that phrase? The inmates are running the prison or something to that effect.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
there's some days where we do feel that way.
Which goes along with not my monkey, not my circus. Oh wait,
Yes.
this is not my monkeys. This is my circus. um, the there was that and that. Oh, what's your favorite success story that you've had over the time you've been working with clients? What's your favorite story?
I have to say, I had a woman come to me who went through my Root Cause Reset RX 10-week program. And she was not my ideal client, but I took her on because I felt there was something there. As I always will talk to women before they come and join on to make sure that it's a good fit for them and it's a good fit for the program to be for them. She came to me late 60s, had just diffuse inflammation, joint pain, weight gain, sugars out of balance. She thought she had COVID because there was just diffuse inflammation in her lungs, couldn't walk, couldn't breathe, the whole bit. I took her through this group coaching program, and she was the most incredible member of our group, the most supportive, the most loving, and to everyone. Because when you join our root cause, you become a family member. Like, we are there to support you. We're there to make you win. And she went out and she lost the weight. Her joint pains went away. She was able to walk. But the biggest thing she said to me was she had to go for pulmonary rehab. She went to do her labs and whatnot. Bear in mind, it's only a 10-week program. Maybe about 8 weeks, 7 weeks in, she went to her doctor, got her results back. The doctor's like, I need to see you. And I'm like, oh my God, what did I do? The doctor's like, what did you do? Your labs are like better than I can ever imagine. And she's like, well, I did this like reset thing. And she's like, I don't know what you're doing, but you need to keep doing it. She was on the treadmill for her pulmonary rehab. And they're like, okay, you can come off now. She's like, why? I just got started. Like, I'm going to keep going. She has more exercise than I do. It was incredible. And you think, like, that's later in life, right? Late 60s is not 20.
Yeah.
But it's really taking that ownership and getting her health under control, because she's got grandkids. She's got kids. She wants to be healthy and stick around for them. And she wanted to really reclaim herself, because she's like, I don't know what happened. I don't know how I got to this state. And it's not like COVID took her out and there we are.
Yeah.
It's like those small things added up over time.
Yep.
So, and the ripple effect was even cooler, because now her husband was starting to eat this way. And he was, from the South. This was not a way of life.
Yeah.
But he started to feel better. His joint pain started to go away. Right? So, it's just incredible to see people who you are really unexpected come into your world, who do so amazing.
Yeah, that is so cool to have, especially too, that it spread into her husband joined on too, because it's so much. I've seen both sides where it's the one person's like, I'm doing great. Okay, you're hanging on the couch. Okay, I'm doing great. And then sometimes they team up together and they do it together. Those are fun to watch.
Or it's just like, he was so not into the plan. He's like, listen, you do you, whatever you want to do, great. Make sure there's something on my plate that I'm going to eat. And she's such a tenacious individual that she's like, no, this is what you're going to have, because this is what I'm making. And as a byproduct, the whole family got better. Right. And I think that's what you want. When you're in a relationship, you're married, you want your partner to succeed. You want to see them do well, and you want to be there for the long haul with them.
Yeah. And it's interesting, I was just listening to a podcast the other day. They're talking about that 75% of the population has the genetics for obesity.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Our genes have not changed in the past 100 years, but the lifestyle and the environment, everything else is lined up against that to have that show up. And if you can change those familial stories and conversations around diet and lifestyle, a lot of stuff can be changed generationally.
Well, I'll give you another story. So when I was creating this program, I brought my husband on board. He's a conventional medicine doctor, right? Very much chapter and verse. I want to know how this works, all the rest. I said, just go in the program. I've lined up all the pillars. And, he was starting to, last winter, he went to his own doctor, did his blood work, whatnot. His triglycerides were going up. His cholesterol was going up. In Canada, we don't tend to test fasting insulin unless it's requested, but I'm going to guess that was going up. Sugars were still okay. So he's kind of like, oh, I should probably do something about this. Did the reset with me. He had the most incredible results. He lost about 17, 18 pounds, and he wasn't a big guy to begin with. He's a marathon runner, ran the New York Marathon this past fall. And he was able to speed up his times, lose the weight. And the big thing was he's not getting joint pains. His recovery, so I track him on the Oura Ring, his recovery was fantastic because he's lined up the pillars in his lifestyle. And this is coming from someone who, if he saw himself, he would have put himself on a statin. He's like, I'm not doing that.
Mm,
And
wow.
this is just diet and lifestyle.
Yeah.
And, a few key supplements, because
Yep.
I think we tend to be deficient in certain things, or our genetics just say that we would tend to do better with certain things.
Yep.
But conventional medicine, and he got faster with the marathon, and he lost weight, and he feels amazing. And he's run marathons before, probably 5 to 10 years ago. His recovery was terrible back then. And now he's like, I feel great.
Nice.
And so he's already gearing up for the next.
So has that started shift anyway how he approaches his patients?
It is. He's always tended to be a little bit more holistic, insofar that, he'll recommend the turmeric lattes to take down your inflammation. He might recommend you an omega-3 here and there.
Yeah.
But I think this is the challenge with conventional medicine, and I'm sure that it's the same in the States. You just don't have the time.
Yeah.
Right?
They don't have the time.
5 to 10 minute visits.
They're on this track that they have to stay on. If they deviate, they either get beaten back on the track or they have to leave.
There's no compensation to stay off the track. Yep. And you don't have the half an hour time slots to go and really dig deep with your patients and to understand them. And to be fair, the lens through which they see medicine is different, and the tools that they bring to the table are completely different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Great. That training is not there, whereas we have that training to be able to get to that root cause of what's going on for them.
Yeah. I know too. I mean, most MDs that I know of that say they're doing functional medicine, it's really very, very green medicine. Oh, you got aches and pains here. Here's white willow bark.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. I know two that they actually do walk the talk, and then they work in the ER. And it's like they're like, because I can rationalize these two ways of thinking.
Well, and I mean, that's where conventional medicine shines. Listen,
exactly. Yeah.
If I saw off my arm, like, I want conventional medicine putting it back on. Like, I'm not going to be mindsetting myself to think that my arm is there, right? Like, we need some fixing. But when you're talking about those metabolic diseases, those lifestyle diseases that in all senses are preventable and reversible, that's where the functional medicine approach really shines and allows patients to heal and to optimize their health.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. You can sit down with somebody and say, "Yep, you have type 2 diabetes. Yep, we can reverse that." You can watch their eyes roll back.
Sorry, what?
Yeah.
And to be fair, it's not that hard.
No.
And it's not restrictive, and it's not going without all the things that you love. It is flipping that metabolic switch. And this is what I explain to my clients. You're a car. I want you to be a Tesla. I want you to be able to flip that metabolic switch. So if you have fats as fuels, that's what we're burning, and that's preferential. Yep. Whereas if we have sugars and carbs, they burn dirty. You don't want that. So
yeah. Oh, yeah, that's I like that analogy of flipping that switch over. That is really kind of what it is. And also, you've already mentioned too that mindset's so important. They have to shift to, this other food here they've never. Sometimes I find working with clients that their lifestyle gets restrictive at first.
Yes.
And then they see new things, then it like explodes into all this new stuff they can do, and that's really rewarding to watch.
And part of it is, uncovering what is keeping their body on fire, right? Is it those food sensitivities?
Yep.
And sometimes that restriction has to happen so we can clear that out. When I went on my own reset, because of course I'm going to try it, and I built it for me, I really uncovered hidden food sensitivities, right? That was driving my eczema. That was keeping me stuck in this body on fire stress pattern that, though I didn't emotionally feel it, my body certainly felt it. And it's once you realize that, you take them out, you're like, well, I can feel great. Yeah. And I'd rather feel great than feel like that this low level crumbs. And when I explain it to patients, I always say it's like a muddy glass. When you start to lower that inflammatory bucket, when you start to take the mud out of the glass and clear up your water, when you start to put little bits of mud back in, you can really feel it. And you can really see it. And I do that experiment during the course of this 10 weeks. We clean things up. Patients feel amazing. Oh my God, I never want to leave this. Go have a cheat meal. What's your favorite meal? Pizza? Do you like hamburgers, fries, whatever it is? Ice cream? Cool. Go and eat it.
Yeah.
They come back the next week. Oh my God, why
Yeah.
did you make me do that? I'm like, because I need you to have that bounce back when you're in a container with me.
Yep.
So now you know how clean your glass has got. You don't want to go back there. They're like, no,
Yeah.
I don't want to go back there. Right?
It-
Alcohol is a big thing. This is one of the big pieces that we work on is that stress management system. We're so used to zoning out, numbing our feelings,
mhm.
wine, sugar. And it could be something really productive, overworking, over exercising,
Yep.
whatever it happens to be. We have to strip those vices away, and then you get to sit with yourself. And that is the scariest thing some people have to do, right?
Yes.
It's not the food. Whatever, I'll do the food. I'm not going to like it. I don't really care, but whatever. We start to sit with yourself and those uncomfortable emotions that come up, and you start
Hmm.
to unpack what is causing this mental and emotional stress that I didn't even know I had. Whew,
Yeah.
that's big. And there's no
That's
wine to make you feel better with that one.
no, no, not if you're going to deal with it.
And that's what you need
Wow.
to do, right?
Yeah.
So that it's not going to be that tack in your shoe that you just keep putting more cushion in your shoe, more cushion in your shoe. You're like, why don't you just take out the tack?
Hmm. Yeah. Wow. That's some in-depth work that you do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, cool. Well, normally these are the 30-minute calls, and we could probably keep going. We're about 40 minutes in. What is, and I'd love to sit here and chat with you for longer, but we have to have you come back sometime. What is, if you were to lead people listen to this who, listen to this whole thing, if you are still here, thank you for being here. What's one thing you want to leave people with?
I want to leave people with the idea that there's hope, that there is another way through, and that if you are suffering with symptoms or this low grade kind of mediocre malaise, that or burnout, right? Like, or you're at the other extreme where you're just so done and you don't know a way out. I promise you there is a way out. And it looks different for a lot of people. And the puzzle piece that you need to concentrate on may be different than your friends, but there is so much hope and there's such a way out. And right, you and I both do this every single day, that
Mhm.
getting to the root of what's causing this imbalance and those symptoms, there's always a solution.
And I would add, from what I heard you say a lot at the start of your journey, ask why a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not one to this is the other piece is I want women especially to reclaim their power over their health. I think so often we give our power away, whether it's to a practitioner like us, a
Hmm.
conventional doctor, the latest greatest fad diet, gimmick, supplement, whatever, because they all sound so great. You look
Yeah.
at anything on the internet, it's meant to clear this up. I want women to start taking back their power, getting themselves a toolkit to heal themselves. And I'm
Mm.
happy to be their guide, but I don't want them, I'd love to support them forever in a capacity that makes sense, but I don't want them giving that power away as though they don't have it themselves, because everyone has that power. And the real issue is ask the question why.
Yeah, that's really great. How can people find you?
So Instagram's the best way. The handle is at the underscore holistic pharmacist.
Hmm.
Come on over. I share all my tips and tricks and strategies, um, mindset, lifestyle, diet, to really start to reclaim your power, make that difference, and start to feel better. There is a better way out.
Nice. And that, I think, is a good spot to end.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. This has been lovely. And yes, I'm very verbose and I'm happy to talk. So thank you for allowing me that soapbox to do it.
You are very welcome. Very welcome. I'm going to end the call here. So if I lose you, I'll reconnect with you, but it usually goes pretty easily. So once again, thank you for being here, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you.